Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
My name is Sarah Garrigle, and I work with the Living Archives Project, where we are collecting stories of how COVID-19 impacted various communities in Charlotte-Mecklenburg County. Today is February 13th, 2023, and this week there were 164 reported cases of COVID-19 in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg County area, which actually shows a decrease of 23% over the last 2 weeks. Therefore, each subject is wearing a mask today for comfortability. Antoine, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Antoine James. A native Charlottean, born and raised here in Charlotte. I work for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Library System. I've been working here. It will be 20 years come this November, so I'm happy about that. Love working here. I'm a Pisces. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. A Charlottean. That is amazing. You're the second one I've got to interview today. That's amazing. Tell me a little bit about your experience growing up in Charlotte. What would you say is one of the highlights and maybe one of the lowlights?
I would say just as the highlight for me, honestly, I wish I can go back to it. Just when I was young, I lived on the west side. I think it's historic now. Cannot think of the name of it right now, what it's called. It's probably come back to me. It's just like right off of Freedom and Moorhead. But anyway, my family lived on one street, then two neighborhoods over, 2 streets over, the rest of my family lived. Okay. So as a kid, we would just go between homes and houses, playing in the yard, playing in the house, walking to the park nearby, going to the candy lady house, going to the little neighborhood grocery stores. And I've just seen a lot of changes in Charlotte, through the years. The revitalization, just all areas are just totally different now. A lot of gentrification, just a lot of things are just, Charlotte to me now, it just don't look like the old Charlotte just when I was young growing up. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I do kind of just miss the old Charlotte. But things are just starting to change a whole lot now. Going back to my old neighborhood, it's changed tremendously. The area's changing, and it kind of makes me sad the times I kind of ride through there, just looking at the old neighborhood and everything. A lot of the homes have been, I guess you can say, remodeled or whatever. It just doesn't seem the same, and I kind of like it. Just makes me a little sad. But I just kind of think back just to those days, at least those, happy thoughts as always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you still live in Charlotte?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. But you live in a different area than where you grew up?
Yes.
Okay. And then tell me a little bit about your journey. Speaking of journey, we did this activity together called a hand map. Is there anything from your hand map that you would like to share with us?
Sure. Starting when? Anytime? It can be during the past couple of years or whatever.
You can talk about your journeys or about COVID, whatever you want to share.
Cool. Let's talk about, during the time of COVID in a way. So during COVID, this sounds weird, but I hate to use the word I gained, but I got married. I'm not going to say I gained a husband. Wow. I got married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got married the following year.
Okay.
After COVID. I mean, we're still in COVID, but like the following year.
Yeah.
So I could say I gained a husband during that time. We decided with all that was going on, all the uncertainties, just not knowing what's going on, a lot of deaths and things like that, we just like, you know what, let's go ahead and get this done because tomorrow's not promised. Mm-hmm. And we've been together for a while, so we just decided to go ahead. That was the time to tie the knot.
Yeah.
I just recently been on a plane for the first time since I was a child. I think the last time I was on a plane, I was probably around the age of 5, 6 maybe.
Okay.
And now we're talking about me about to turn 49. So I was on my very first plane trip recently. I actually went to my very first library conference in New Orleans recently. Okay. And just again, just really just surviving during the COVID journey, honestly, and just trying to just make it day by day.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. You work in the library right now. How long have you worked in the library?
It'll be 20 years this November.
Oh my goodness, that's a long time.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you share with me kind of what brought you to the library and what's kept you in the library?
So before the library, I worked retail. I worked the Kmart that used to be on Freedom Drive way back in the day for many years. So I worked Kmart, I worked banking. I've done like Target. I've been in customer service 20 plus years.
Okay.
I've also actually, I forgot about this, I actually worked briefly at the, what's it called, at the clerk of court office before. I mean, really a cashier position, but still. So during the time when I was working at Kmart, I think I took on a part-time job at the library. It was just something different. I know my aunt, she worked for the library before, and that's what sparked my interest in, trying. We both, this is mighty funny, both of us way back in the day, years ago, had applied at the same time, but she got hired before I did.
Okay.
And I tried later on and got hired. For me, it was totally different than retail. It was more structured, more of a set schedule, not having to work so many holidays and so many nights and things like that. I started out part-time for about, I guess a good maybe year and a half, maybe, if that long. I cannot remember how long I was part-time before I went full-time. And the reason why I went full-time is seeing during that time and just seeing how the library just continued progressing, just working for the community. It wasn't all just about just checking out books and things like that. It was just seeing the different programs, activities that the library would do, and just seeing that continue throughout the year, as the years moved on and things like that. That's why I chose to stay. I just like what I do at the library. I like what, all the programs that we offer, all the resources that we have. I like help, the community get those resources. I like, when someone leaves out the library happy with something that I've done, whether it's putting a book in their hand, helping them with a job application, helping them learn how to save something to a flash drive, showing a customer how to work a mouse, just anything like that. I really, truly enjoy. Not knocking retail or anything like that, because I just enjoy working with the public, period. I'm a people person. The good, the bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter. I enjoy working with people.
That's awesome. So tell me about, you worked in the library for so long, so you've seen the library transition through lots of different seasons. Tell me a little bit about the pandemic season and when the pandemic hit, how did that impact you working at the library?
So when it hit, no, I didn't know. All I remember was 1 week, it was in March. The week before we shut down, we had a retreat for one of the services within the library. Then that following week, or not really the following week, I want to say the next few days, we get an email in which I kept the email from my library CEO at that time, letting us know that, that it was recommended for the library to close effective March 17th at 5 o'clock until further notice. Not knowing how long it's going to be, because in this email it states that it would not be shorter than 2 weeks. So for me, I started having, I guess you could say, PTSD. And why I say that is because I'm not sure if a lot of people are familiar, but back around 2010, we had the big layoff, recession, stuff like that. The library force was cut tremendously.
Wow.
I was part of the cut.
Wow.
And that hit me hard.
Yeah.
So with COVID and with the library shutting down, I started to get back to that, what did that really mean? What did that look like?
Yeah.
Will I have an income? How I'm going to live? How am I going to survive?
Yeah.
So I just started, I started getting nervous, started to feel just a little depressed because I really wasn't sure. Granted, thank God we were able to get a paycheck during that time, where even though we shut down now, even though they shut down to the public and for staff, they still kept like a lot of online stuff open, but a lot of positions such as mine didn't have the thing that I could do online, but we were still able to still get paid for the time. Thank God for Mecklenburg County during all that. But that was almost on a week to week, every 2 week basis, not really knowing how long this is going to be.
Yeah.
You know, am I going to be able to pay rent? Am I going to put food on the table?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to get toilet paper? And that's just a joke, but but during that time, that was a hot commodity, toilet paper. You know, it just, I just didn't know in the unknown, like, is this like really a pandemic that you hear about that we are really going through? If this is the apocalypse, I mean, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, is it safe to go outside, stand outside, walking around? I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And my mind just started wandering. Thank God I didn't spiral, but I just felt myself just getting a little depressed with just not knowing what was coming and what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I've lost some relatives during that COVID.
So sorry.
Of course, a lot of people, including myself, the old caught COVID and everything. But it was just, for me, it was just really scary time for me. During that time, my husband, you know, he works. During that time, he was working for the state. Of course, they still was functioning. So, you know, seeing him go to work every day while I'm just sitting at home, I'm just like, oh my God, this is just not me. Yeah. What am I going to do? Yeah. There's but so much I can look at on TV. There's so much cleaning I can do. So I started just walking around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to try to develop a routine because I didn't have a routine.
Okay.
Granted, at some point they did have like little projects that, you know, some library staff can sign up for to do, but it wasn't like a 40-hour week project.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of develop a routine, something to just keep me going.
Yeah.
So I'm not just sitting around moping and feeling depressed.
Yeah.
So I started, you know, getting up first thing in the morning, going walking around the neighborhood. You know, try to, you know, find little things to do around the house here and there, but kind of spent a lot of time just doing a lot of walking outside during that time.
Yeah.
Would say, I think I felt like I did a lot of eating during that time. So once I did probably gain some pounds during that time, I'm not going to lie, I did. Because I don't know if that was depression eating or that's all I could do was just eat. There was nothing else to do was to eat, you know. Had to just the things that I was used to doing, like going to the movies and stuff like that, couldn't do that anymore. Going out to sit in a restaurant to eat, couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It was just totally, I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then now on top of just that, it just also during that time too, we had all the racial injustice things going on. It was just a lot going on, just too much going on all at one time, and I just didn't really know. I think I also was messing myself up because I spent a lot of time looking at the news, reading social media, and that kind of messed with my head a lot. During that time, I didn't do any kind of self-care at all.
How about now? Do you feel like you've been able to establish some self-care?
Yes, to a certain extent. You know, I go out. I mean, I don't got a lot, but you know, I'm more comfortable going out, sitting in places to eat and everything like that. Going to the movies and everything. I'm more comfortable with that now. I'm not afraid like I was. Because at the very beginning, I'm not gonna lie, at the very beginning I was scared. Yeah. I really was, just like everybody else. Then at some point, as things moved on, a lot of that fear started leaving. Because I'm just like, you know, I was scared for a good while, let's put it like this, until after I got vaccinated. And after I was, you know, got vaccinated and everything, then a lot of that fear started leaving. What was hard for me though, even before being vaccinated, when we opened back up to the public, I was so used to that one-on-one close contact with people, and you know, they try to always, you know, we always had to keep our distance and all that. That was challenging for me at work with customers because I was just so used to, you know, being right there helping them close by, you know, close, you know. So that was very challenging for me to do. Did I follow that rule? I'm not gonna lie, Not really, because I just felt like I wasn't providing the good customer service that I'm known for and that, I know I could give. Knowing I probably was putting myself in danger or whatever, but I just felt like I just wasn't providing that customer service that I'm known for, and I didn't want to lose that working for the library at all. Because I feel like if I lost that work-wise, what else am I going to lose?
Yeah.
And I know that's just like weird things like that would just pop into my mind and everything. But now, like I said, I am more comfortable now. Yes, I get weary at times, but I'm just not as frightened like I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that for sure. You mentioned that there's a lot of things happening with social justice movements. How did that impact you?
I started feeling a certain kind of way with individuals, knowing that a lot of individuals are not like that. My husband is white, and it just made me sad.
Yeah.
And it made me sad when I started, like, he was feeling upset and sad about all that was going on. One of my former managers was feeling that way. And the things that were going on, a lot of the ones I was really close with just started feeling really bad, that's not of my color. And I was feeling bad for them because I know that they're not like that. And I just felt during that time with all those in those hard positions, I just felt like wasn't nothing being done. And I've always just felt like on top of COVID now this, what next? What's the point? We've had conversations at work just to see how everyone was feeling, whether it's COVID or how they're feeling about a lot of the injustice that was going on. So that was a nice thing we did, especially at my one location, having those type of conversations, just to open up, just hear everyone's how they feeling.
Yeah.
It just, nothing's changed. All the stuff's still going on today.
Yeah.
I'm just sad to say the way I feel. I just feel like a lot of this it's the way of the world right now. I just feel like COVID is not going anywhere, and all this other stuff is not going anywhere. I just feel like, sad to say, this is just like the times that we're living in, and I hate saying it or feeling that way. But right now, I'm just not seeing a light at the moment. Not saying that there's not a light at the end of the tunnel,
I get what you're
but
saying.
truth be told, it's just the way I'm feeling. I just feel like I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel right now.
You feel a little overwhelmed by everything?
At times I do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, at times I do. I try to put up the front,
Yeah.
But at times I do feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But I know I have to go on, because I can't live in worry. I can't live in fear of things too much anymore because honestly, during some of that time, they kind of also, I don't know, I feel like it just took a toll on my mental state, on my mental state, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I don't look at social media as much as I used to.
Okay.
At one point, I stopped looking at the news at one point because all you saw every day in the news was just COVID this, COVID that, all these many people dying, catching it, blah, 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 all that stuff. And I was like, okay, wasn't nothing positive coming out of the news with COVID. So I stopped watching the news altogether until I started hearing some positive stuff.
Yeah.
But now I ain't gonna lie, I stopped back watching the news. But when they started opening things back up slowly, it kind of made me happy. I was happy when me and my husband finally went out first time to a restaurant.
Yeah.
When they first opened things back up, going to a movie, it just felt good. Because being locked in for so long was just too much. And I don't know how they did it other places, but yeah.
Yeah. So you, born and raised in Charlotte, and being such a social butterfly, it sounds like you're very social.
Used to be.
You like to get out.
Yes, when I can, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like COVID impacted the greater Charlotte community?
To a certain extent, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people just couldn't get out.
Yeah.
But you best believe when they opened back up,
Yeah.
people, they were out. I didn't go out like that when they first opened up because it was still kind of iffy. I still try not to go to overcrowded places at times. I'm still, truth be told, on that one because it still kind of make me nervous. And if I start feeling a little nervous, then I know when to leave. When they open up, you can tell people were just so tired of being locked down in Charlotte because Charlotte was just it's a growing city and it's like a little nightlife.
Yeah.
And all that stuff ended for a while for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But when it opened back up, you just saw tons and crowds of people showing up at the mall, showing up at the bars, showing up at restaurants. I didn't go in the bars because that was still an off-limits thing for me because that's just it was too close for comfort for me. And I still haven't gone to a bar yet. And I'm not a bar hopping person, but it's still a little too close for comfort going to a bar right now for me, even still today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different because I'm not saying even before COVID I went out to a lot of bars, but I did go to bars here and there.
Yeah.
But I know just a lot of those who were like bar hoppers or whatever, I know it really impacted a lot of them a lot.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people just stayed at home and kind of handled some of that themselves. But now that, things are wide open again in Charlotte, I know the businesses, and I felt sorry for the businesses, I really did.
I know.
That sucks for them, and I'm glad they're doing a whole lot better now.
Yeah. Charlotte
honestly.
has a lot of small businesses.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see how much the pandemic impacted.
And I felt like with people not being able to get out like they used to, whether bar hopping, partying, or clubs, or whatever the case might have been, a lot of people start doing like just stupid, crazy things. And I was like, okay, people are just too bored. They have nothing else to do. The government, Charlotte, state, North Carolina, whomever needs to open back up quick because people just started doing a lot of crazy stuff around town.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about coming back to the library after the doors were opened again. What did that look like for you?
A relief for me.
Yeah.
Even when we opened back up and we didn't completely open back up to the public, staff were allowed to come back to the building.
Okay.
And what they did was they had different phases. It was a relief for me because I'm like, okay, thank God we're working. We're working again. We didn't have to shut down, didn't have a paycheck. I did miss the crowd, and I still miss the crowd. I just feel like we don't have the numbers like we used to when we were open before COVID. So I miss that, and I wish everyone knows that we are open. We are back fully open. The library's still here.
Yeah.
We are not limited in anything. We are completely open. But it was such relief just to see some of our customers, even though we had this thing when we first opened up, I forgot what it was called, but they were able to come pick up their hose. We could only let one person in at a time. But it was just nice seeing our regulars even just come up, just to come in, grab the book off the whole shift, check it out, and leave right back out. It was just good to see them again because it was just not seeing them. I felt really bad and sad. So I was just happy. It was just a relief. When we completely opened back up, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
We could finally feel like a library again. Because even with the phases we had to go through to open up, I just felt like we weren't completely a library just yet. But when we were at that last phase to completely open to the public, I was like, we're a library again, thank God. Yeah, I enjoyed just seeing everybody coming back in. Even though it wasn't a big crowd like we would normally see, but just still seeing people come in, sit down, read a book, get on the computers, talking, socializing, just whatever. It was just such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Such a good feeling.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you find that patrons struggled coming back in a little bit, or do you feel like it was more of like a relief they could finally get out and come and get their books?
Probably a little bit of both for some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say a little both for some.
Yeah.
There's still probably some hesitancy with some.
Yeah.
But those faithful ones, they were definitely happy. They were excited. The faithful youth, the faithful ones that we would see every day, they were ecstatic.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I remember, so they were still doing a lot of virtual programming. It wasn't any in-house programming at that time. I forgot when we started in-person program. I just remember at my old location, I had worked at the senior book club. From my understanding, they were excited when they were able to finally meet back in person again.
I bet.
Yeah.
They were,
Mm-hmm.
so many people.
Yeah.
And so tell me about you and your husband
Mm-hmm.
transitioning through COVID together, living together, getting married through
Mm-hmm.
COVID. What are some of the experiences that you guys experienced together like the last 2-3 years?
Well, so he kind of helped me through the time in which I started just worrying and having the PST moment. You know, he was
Yeah.
kind of helping me through that.
I bet.
We were very, supportive of each other. There were times in which, like with any married couple, at some point you probably get tired of seeing each other cooped up all the time together. But I mean, that's a given.
Yeah.
We would sometimes go walk together. We definitely, watched a lot of TV together. We'd clean together. Feel like we bonded more and more. We, shared tears. A lot of talking and just supporting one another. And then when we decided to go ahead and tie the knot, we just had just a little ceremony. It was just two of us and a couple of close friends at the, I guess you call it the Botanical Gardens or whatever you call it, UNC Charlotte.
Okay.
Right there.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So just a handful of...
I wouldn't even say a handful, really. I'd probably just say this many people.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So very small.
Very small and intimate. Yeah, did not really make it a big thing. Yeah. And we both chose it, but I was more so for it for personal reasons as to why I kept it the way we kept it, yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time today. To respect you, I'm going to follow up with one last question.
Sure.
And it's, do you have any other stories or experiences that you would like to share with us before we end?
That's a good question. Even if it's COVID related,
Could be COVID related
or
or
just
about
anything.
you.
Oh, okay. Sure. So I just talked about this recent because it was just recent. Actually, like I said, my first plane ride since I was like I said, 5 or 8 years old. So before I was already getting myself all worked up, honestly, and that's for me. Looking at things on TV, movies and stuff like that. So I had myself so worked up about getting on the airplane.
Yeah.
My husband, he's wonderful. He told me what to expect going to the airport, so I was able to. I was ready for that, the check-ins and the TSA, all that kind of stuff. So I knew about all that going in. But so when I was getting ready to get on the plane, and also when I went to the conference, one of my friends who works at another library location, she went to the same conference, so we ended up having the same flight out, thank God. So when I was getting on the plane, from looking at TV and the movies, the planes look so much bigger.
Yeah.
As soon as I stepped foot on that plane, I was like, okay, this plane is tiny. I started getting hot. I felt like I couldn't breathe because it just seemed so tiny. The aisle seemed tiny, the chairs, I was in the middle seat, it was so tiny, so I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm on this plane, will I make it? Yeah. So the pilot comes over the intercom, and he said that we had a slight maintenance issue that was fixed, we're just waiting for the paperwork before we take off. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you really saying this? So I texted my friend who we got the same flight. I'm like, did he really just say that? I said, my anxiety just shot sky high again. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I was scared as heck. So we had a layover. So we, went from Charlotte to Atlanta, and then on the plane from Atlanta to New Orleans. When the pilot landed, he hit that runway so hard. I cursed out loud. I think the guy beside me started cussing. Everybody started cursing. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, I don't need this, because I have not been on a plane. So, but all in all, it was a nice experience. I don't have a fear of flying anymore. I probably would fly again because it was nice. I would love to go back to New Orleans to actually tour this city instead of, it was work. But I would love to go back just to tour it. Yeah. Had some good eating. There was a parade, some type of sci-fi parade, but I definitely would love to go back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad that you got to experience the flight despite the challenges.
Yeah, and I hadn't been anywhere since COVID.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that, my husband, he had been to New York a couple of times, but I hadn't been out of Charlotte since COVID,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So I think that was a nice getaway for me
I bet.
to get away from all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for
No,
your time
thank
today.
you.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.